music. Good morning. I am here. I'm just getting my music together. Hi, Ken. Hi, Jennifer. Kathy. Sue Lane is here. So nice to see you all. I'm going to flip on some music in the background. I usually have this, but I was just trying to get my picture to cover my mat and everything. So I was a little flumps, but I'm hearing there's like a thing, an iPad holder for it. So hi, Patty. Hi, Magdalena. Some of you I haven't seen for a while. Joe looks like a new name to me. De La Rosa is here. Karen with a C. Hi, Bev. How are you? So I have a plan today. Sally's here. All right. Good for you, Sally. So I was just checking in with you. So here's the plan today. Some hamstring opening, some upper body strengthening, and a prop you might need. However, I'm not going to require you to have something you may not have, but if you have a stick, I've used these before. A broom would work fine. This happens to be a pole extender for like dusting and things. So I have this, but you can also use the back of a chair, and we'll put it at the end of the mat. And what are we going to do with it? We're going to ascertain our body position in pyramid pose, which is the hamstring opener. So I will even prep you for that. So what we'll be doing when we get there, just so you know, is to put the stick out thus, lean forward, and then we'll put it on our backside to monitor where our pelvis goes. So see, if I went forward, you'd see the stick is up high, so then it would let me know I need to go there. And then traditionally, we put the hands behind, so you'll grab the stick behind. So it's just a way for you to figure out, like, where is my pelvis? Because it's so much easier when I am with you, and I can just grab your pelvis in a loving way and adjust you. So if you have one of these or a chair, just stick it at the end of your mat, a countertop or something like that. So I almost thought of putting the fireplace on this morning, but I think we can get a little chi or energy. Also today, I'm going to have two poses that you can embellish for balance. So like when we do the horse pose, I will have you perhaps consider lifting your heels and doing your horse pose that way. That may not be great for your knees, so as always, when you're practicing or doing a class, you need to honor yourself. So pay attention as we stand in Tadasana, mountain pose, and just kind of come to Samasthiti. So I'm going to stand on my mat, root my feet, engage my legs, draw up Mula Bandha, draw in Uddiyana action, lift up my heart, relax my neck and shoulders, fingers to the earth, crown of the head toward the sky. Stand here and breathe. Wander through your body. See how it's doing this Monday morning. As you breathe, expand deeply. Today, I want you to take a deep breath and hold for a moment, an instant. And then breathe out. And you can breathe out through the mouth if you prefer. So inhale and hold. And do that a few more times. Doesn't matter how deep your breath is. One more. Bring the palms together. Place the hands at the heart. Adjust your attitude to one of gratitude. We are here today. We are here in the moment. We push away distractions that have nothing to do with our mat. So let me be your guide. Let me be your entertainer. Let me be a lift of your heart. As you open the arms to the side, open yourself to your practice. So my arms are reaching out, my thumbs are up, but whatever works. Remember, this is called whatever yoga, so whatever works for you. Check that your shoulders are not elevated, so depress through the shoulders, reach through the fingers, ground through the earth, lift through the crown of the head. So I'm going to begin leaning from side to side. The legs can be straight or they can alternate bending depending on how this feels for you. So imagine you're holding the stick. You don't need the stick now, but just kind of tip from side to side. And I'm bending a knee so I can get a little more hip, but maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe you're not supposed to tip so far. So maybe you just choose to lean a little from side to side. Or maybe you go, oh, a little further. Oh, I feel my hips. Could you keep going? I'm going to just see what the volume is. I don't hear anything. Hello? Are you playing? I might have inadvertently touched something I wasn't supposed to. So give yourself a couple more. Oh. And then come back to mountain pose. We'll wake up the feet since I'm going to add an option for you to strengthen your feet a little more. So alternate lifting your heels. If you saw it from the side, it would be like this. And then I'm going to circle my wrist. I'm conducting my orchestra. So I think we have just a couple of days before it gets soggy. So I hope you're getting to your projects that you might need to tend to outside. Yes. Okay, and then let's do a little turning and looking off to the left. So just turn your body, look off to the left. Come back center and look off to the right side. Come back center and bring your arms up like a cactus. Feel the wind brush into your face and push the arms back. So what happens from the side? The elbows go back. So you feel that anterior in your shoulder. Exhale, bring the arms forward, broaden through the back. So feel the space between your shoulder blades increase. And now do the opposite, decrease the shoulder blade space. So do a few of these. See how the shoulders are feeling. Still nice deep breath, tightening the belly when you exhale. So you get your core warmed up as well. I'm going to make the opening the last one, and then I'll release the arms. Now, it doesn't matter which orientation, whether you're at short end or long end, but open your feet a little wider than you were. It doesn't have to be that wide stance out here, so just a little wider. If I were on the facing the short end, I might even be at the edges of the mat. Toes are forward. So we're going to go into the horse pose. So I'm sitting on a big old horse. Pay attention to your knees. This is different from chair pose. So we know with chair pose, the hips go back. We do tend to lean a little further forward. In the horse pose, you sit back, but you keep your chest up and reach the arms forward. So find your horse pose. Mula bandha, action. Sit on that horse. Extend the arms forward. Anchor the shoulders, and with purpose and intention, press the palms together firmly. So press those palms together as you sit and as you breathe. And feel the energy you're creating. Nothing should hurt in your yoga practice. Might be a little uncomfortable at times, but it should never hurt. As you release, straighten the legs, open the arms, maybe just let them fold behind you. You don't have to stretch them back unless you wanted to. Mula bandha, Uddiyana action. So come back to the horse pose. I'm going to give you an option. For those of you who find this is pretty easy for you, you're pain-free and you'd like a little more, once you get the palms together, as you see I turn sideways, consider lifting one heel up. So it's going to put a little more pressure on your knees and a lot of demand on your balance. Then if you can, also lift the other leg. Stay seated on the horse and pressing the palms together. Look forward off your hands and breathe. Mula Bandha, Mula Bandha. If your heels are up, drop them down, release the pose, hands come to the back. So that's just a variation that can intensify the horse pose. So we'll do it one more time. You can either or. So go ahead and find the horse pose. Optional heel lift. Stay and breathe. Focus off your fingers. Nice strong breath. So perhaps an element of balance, some upper body work. Stay upright. Lower the heels if they're up, drop the arms, place them behind your back. And I'm going to push the hips forward. Make a conscious effort to push your hips forward. I tend to hang in my hips up. I'm not letting that happen. I'm putting my hips forward and I'm going to lift up my chest. Oh, that feels good. Wherever you want to go up. So some people don't go very far. If you have vertigo issues, you probably wouldn't want to look up too far. Otherwise, feel free to look up. Exhale. So we're going to just gently greet the hamstrings this morning. So my feet are parallel. My chest is open. My hands are on the thighs. And the elbows will remain straight. Elbows are going to be straight. As you lean forward into your toes, you know this, it's the bookshelf pose, right? So I lean in my toes so that your legs are not angled. Your hips are above your ankles, shoulders back, elbows straight. Feel the pelvis being spread apart, so the hamstrings have to open up a little bit. So you don't want to pull anything, just kind of notice where restriction might be. Move both of your hands to one leg, doesn't matter to me. I'm not turning or twisting, I'm simply shifting or leaning. Now if you can go a little over the knee, feel free. I wouldn't go too far, too fast, too soon this early in our practice. And then move the hands to the other leg without turning, just shifting. And then maybe you need to go back up, or maybe you can go a little further down. Shoulders are back. The back may begin to round, so you want to keep some nice integrity in your spine. One hand on each leg. Go ahead, roll yourself up, squeeze the pillow, hips forward. Watch your blood pressure. For some, that's a concern. And as you stand, come back to mountain pose. So I'm going to have you elevate your leg. Whatever is around, a counter, a fireplace mantle, a chair, a ledge, anything that you can. We're going to go a little more deeply into the hamstrings. So this is not turning away. Your hips will face the legs. So I'm going to turn into my fireplace and put one of my legs up. So it doesn't matter how far up, could be a little further if you had a chair seat, you wanted to put it on there. So go ahead, put that leg up. And as we just did in the bookshelf pose, we're going to lead with the heart. Pull my shirt up a little bit. My hips are pointing forward toward my leg, and I begin leaning my heart forward. Now I can put my hands on the thigh without rounding my back. So you remember you say in yoga, lead with your heart, not with your head. So as I go forward, so this should give you a little more opening down the back of the leg. Again, feel that your tailbone is being lifted a little bit. Tighten your belly as you come up, swap the legs. And I'm going to use the chair over here, so I'll get a little closer. So my leg is up. I open my hips to my extended leg at whatever height. I begin leaning forward in a curious way, curious to see how it feels this morning. By elevating the leg, you don't have to go that far forward. So I'm leading with my heart, tuning into my breath. opening the back of my leg. Tighten your belly and draw yourself up, offload the leg and come back center. So let's go through a little flow. I'm going to shed my shirt here. It's going to end up in my face anyway. Step to the front edge of your mat on the short end and we'll do a little flow. So some of you will use blocks because when we step back it's easier to have your hands higher. When we get to the mat you'll put the hands down on the mat. So manage within the realm of your own space. Breath in, the arms lift towards sky. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Oh, how nice, my hamstrings feel open. Inhale, lift my chest, bend my knee. Right foot goes back, reach with the right heel, line up the left knee. So I do this to open the front of my body, so opening my hip flexor. Now you can leave that back leg straight, or you can soften the knee onto the mat. Kind of depends how your body's feeling. And then with the right leg back, come down on your right hand, open your body to the left. So turn the right shoulder forward, the left shoulder back, and then reach up. Bring the left hand down. If your knee is on the mat, lift it up. Push off the back leg, step forward, lift the chest, step the left foot back. Once it gets back, wiggle it a little further, it will help. This is the important part. Where is your right knee relative to the ankle? You can stay here if it feels appropriate. Soften the knee onto the mat. And then put weight on your left hand or maybe your knuckle. Left shoulder comes forward, right shoulder goes back, and you reach up. Don't forget to breathe. So this time when you bring your hand down, you're going to lift the hips, lift the knee, come into a plank or a push-up position. So move your front foot back, lower the pelvis, not too low, not too high, Goldilocks just right. Squeeze the legs together, push away from the floor. If this is a bit much, you can soften the knees. If your palms aren't happy with this, try knuckles with your thumbs forward. So we're going to do little bend, little straight. Elbows tend to, when you bend the elbows, they tend to go out. We want to keep them in, coming in toward our ribs. So little bend, little straight. Little bend, little straight. Little bend, little straight. Little bend, little straight. Super slowly come all the way down. Chest and hips should land at the same time. Relax your toes. Without pushing on your hands, keeping your toes down on the mat. Breathe in and lift your chest. Apply a little pressure with your hands, elbows in, cobra. If this isn't working, go back down to baby cobra. Keep your chest up, lift your hips up. Push up onto hands and knees, toes under, downward dog. So as you look back at your thighs, walk your feet forward and bend one knee and straighten the other leg as we walk the dog. So when you're walking your dog, you don't want to force, you want to allow. So your heels may or may not come to the mat. When you move your feet forward a little bit, it helps. So your shoulders aren't so stressed and your hips can move as you do this. Eyes are looking up towards your thighs. Anytime you don't want to do a down dog, you can go to your child's pose, which is on the knees. Hold both your heels up high, bend your knees, look forward, walk, step, or jump your feet up to the front of the mat with your hands. Drop the hips, lift the chest, put the hands on or around the calves, lay body to thigh, bow over, and smush together. Release the arms, rise all the way up, little head rush, whoops. And join the palms at the heart. Stand on your left foot, keep your hands at your heart, lift up your right leg. a little balance. And if that's just more balance than you're up for this morning, just hold your toe lightly on the mat. It's going to help you to lean forward. Standing knee bends. Push your right leg back. Touch the toe down. Once it's down, wiggle and slide it back like the low lunge, but you're going to stay high. Still leaning forward, tracking the knee. Push your hands into your heart as you rise into crescent pose. Now here's an option for some of you. This may be enough. However, if you'd like a little more, the front heel is going to lift. And breathe. If you've lifted the heel, put it down. Put your hands down and come to a plank. Lower yourself slowly from knees or toes, but chest and hips land at the same time. Baby cobra or cobra. Elevate the hips. Come on up into down dog and adjust your feet. I'm going to just stay quiet this time. Focus on my breathing. Go ahead, raise the heels, breathe in, bend the knees, look forward, walk your feet, step your feet, jump your feet. Chest lift, hands on or around calves, bow over. Rise up, palms at heart. And we do the other side. Standing on your right foot, use the elements of mountain pose. So keep yourself strong and upright. Bend left knee, keep toe on the mat or lift it. Lean forward, push your left foot back. Softly touch the mat and you're at hip distance. Wiggle the foot back while leaning forward. This is helpful. Keep the right knee tracking over your ankle. Use your hands to lift your heart. So you're opening the front of the left thigh. For those of you who look for a little more, raise the right heel. Not that it wasn't wobbly enough. If you lifted the heel, put it down, all the way down to the bottom of whatever kind of push-up you're going to do. From knees or toes, elbows in, up, baby cobra or cobra. Elevate hips from there, keep shoulders down, right on into your third down dog. So your down dog might be best done with your knees a little bent. Though we're working on hamstrings today, so you can get the arms nice and straight and shoulders down. Think of the elbows moving in. They don't move, but just think of them moving in so that you don't get this. Raise the heels, bend the knees, look forward, walk, step, or jump softly to the front of the mat. Lift the chest, hands on or around the calves, bow over, breathe out. Breathe in, stand up. Breathe out, hands at your heart. So that should kind of warm us up. For those who have a stick, please pick it up. If you don't have a stick, bring a chair toward the front of your mat and you'll have to adjust yourself a little differently. And if you don't have a stick, you still have your legs. This is more the traditional. This is just a tool. So this is the pyramid pose. Oh my goodness, a little loud at my house today, isn't it? So I'm going to position my feet parallel, and one foot will be behind the other about 1.5 to 2 of your own feet. So that should be proportionally set for you. So as my feet are apart, I'm going to move my right leg. There's one of my feet back, and then there's another half of it. Now I could go a little further if I just felt like I've got extra long legs. The toes stay forward, so already I'm a little wobbly. And then here's where I use the stick. It's going to go forward of the mat, And if you're not already, you're going to be getting to the back of the chair if you're using a chair with your arms. And if you're not using a chair or a stick, you will put your hands on your thigh. So remember when we were opening the hamstrings earlier, I said lead with your heart. Same applies here. Your hips will be forward. As you lean out, your stick will go out as well. Feel free to adjust it if it came in a little short, or your hands are on the back of the chair. So you're leaning forward, but you want to keep weight distributed between 2 feet because it's natural to put all your weight on the front foot, keep some weight on the back leg. Move your hands as able down the stick, and if the hands are on your thighs, down your leg. Breathing, being mindful. Think of your hips as headlights and they're shining toward the floor with your chest. Walk yourself back up, lift your chest, and return back center. Step together, not to touch the feet, but up to the feet. You know what I meant. Other foot goes back. There's a foot length, and there's another half foot length. Again, toes are forward, hips are forward, chest is forward. I go to meet my stick or use my hands on the lap or the chair. Inhale, draw up, mula bandha, mula bandha. Exhale, go forward. Leading with the heart, keeping weight in both of your feet. As you need to or wish to, move your hands down the stick or down your lap without rounding your back. So you are hinging. That could be a little loud. Walk yourself back up. Okay, step back with your feet side by side, but not touching. So we're going to ascertain what's happening in the hips. If I face you and you see when I go forward, what often happens is the leg behind tends to turn a little. So you can go further forward. Your body says, I will take the path of least resistance. And if your hamstrings are tight, that could be the resistance. So what your stick can give you, or maybe just your hands could be proprioceptors. Don't knock anything with your stick as you manipulate it behind your back. So here's my waist. So down here across my tushy, so that on the back side would be my hips, my hip bone. So let's have your feet together. Take your first foot, your right foot back, 1.5 feet. Lift up your chest, the legs are straight. Now see, I've already kept myself nice and tall. I can have an underhand, overhand grip. It doesn't matter. So however your hands feel most comfortable. What you're going to notice is that the stick doesn't move. So go ahead, lean with your heart forward. And notice if the stick's starting to lift on the right side. And don't let that happen. And you may not go as far, but that's because you're going properly. Go ahead and lengthen your spine as you rise up. Step up. Left foot goes back. Same thing, other side. Lift up nice and tall, Mula Bandha. Exhale, Uttanasana, hinging forward. You may have one side that's a little more stiff or needy, so be mindful as to both sides. Ooh. Keep weight on both legs. Please don't round your back. So play with that stick to feel where your pelvis is. Remember, it's going to want to lift to the left, so keep that left hip down. Go ahead and rise up. Straight spine. Step up. Take a break for a moment. And you will get better each time. So traditionally, the hands are behind in reverse namaste. And a lot of us can't do that. So often I'll just say, grab the hands or reach to the elbows. The idea of having your hands behind is kind of freaky when you don't have your hands in front. So if I have a stick, I'm going to cross my hand across to one side, bring the other hand over to the other side as if to be at my elbows. So now I'm still using the stick to help notice when I go forward that I'm not going crookedy, because I can see that stick in my peripheral vision and it guides me to go more straight. So my hands are crossed. I'm going to keep your stick as equal as possible. Be aware of your surroundings. Move the right foot back a step and a half. Lift your chest. Weight on both feet. Go ahead and move forward. Breathing. Lengthening up, you rise. Now stay here this time. Keep the hands, keep the stick. Lift the heart. Consider looking up the wall a bit, or maybe up a little more, or maybe back a little. Keep weight on both feet as the weight will tend to shift towards your back foot. Open up your heart. Be aware that your neck might feel a little stressed, so you don't have to, you can drop your head forward. And lift yourself up. Go ahead, release the arms for a moment. Step back up, and we'll do the other side. So you're going to begin to feel those shoulders, perhaps for some of you. So grab behind, whoops, again, watch your space. So grab on the stick across as if you were grabbing your elbows. Left foot steps back, a foot and a half of that foot. Square out your hips, Mula Bandha Uddiyana action. Uttanasana, forward fold. Weight on both legs. Begin to leaning forward. Check that you're not opening on the left side, as that would be the tendency. Breathing. Look toward the toe that is in front. As you lengthen and rise up, pressing into the feet, travel the eyes across the floor and up the wall and to where you feel it is appropriate for you to slightly arch or extend. And breathe. Pay attention to how things are feeling for you. Go ahead and lift yourself all the way back up. Go ahead, step up and relax the stick. And pause. So let's put the stick down, and you won't need the chair anymore either. And let's just go without anything. And you can always use your thighs. So this would be the easiest, going forward this way. This would be a little introductory. This would be without the stick, but similar to what we did. And you can also put the hands, if you can put the hands, in reverse namaste. So wherever it feels appropriate, go ahead and find your footing. Mula Bandha Uddiyana action. Right foot goes back, a foot and then a half of that foot. Lift up the chest. So the hands behind might give you that information of like you have the stick. Uttanasana. And breathe. Slow your breath. Press into your feet, rise up, lengthen your spine, weight at the top, or if you're inclined to do the back bend, I invite you to do so. Keep your weight distributed. Lift up back center. I want you to step forward and then change your hands. So however you were holding, hold them differently. You can make it different. Reverse namaste, just take a break from it. Now do the left foot back. Lift the chest. Make sure your feet are forward. Your body will turn the feet out to make it a little easier. And so Uttanasana, press down into both feet. Be mindful of those hamstrings. Left hip is pushing forward. Slow your breath a little. Lengthen your spine as you rise. Choose to remain at the top or add the little back bend as you wish. Be aware of your blood pressure. Don't hold your breath, that wouldn't be a good idea. Lift yourself all the way up, step forward, and release your arms. Whew. Okay, so we're going to come down on the mat. As we come down, try not to use your hands, not even to brace on your thighs. So go ahead and bring yourself down onto your hands and knees. And so the upper body one today will be the cat on the wheel and the reverse cat on the wheel. And most of us have done this, but maybe this is one that you haven't done. So to begin with, you'll need something about the size of a golf ball or a ping pong ball. And it will be on the mat. And as you address it with your nose, think of pushing this ping pong ball forward on the mat with your nose and then coming back up, and then they move the ball back for you and then you push it forward. So let me show you and then we will practice, because it's all just a practice. It's not a perfect. So I place my hands on my hands and knees. Elbows come in as I lower myself back, my nose toward the mat, pushing it forward past my hands up. Letting myself come back. There's my ping pong ball, pushing it forward and back. So do this and you may notice that one arm is weaker or stronger than the other. So try and keep them equal, shoulders anchored, elbows not bowing out too far. Mula bandha, mula bandha. So when you're done, you can go to child's pose. That would be parting the knees. The arms can be in front. They can be tucked under. If you want to do a few more, zip through a few more. So bring yourself up. You can stay rested. So the reverse cat on the wheel. So now instead of a ping pong ball, you have something about a basketball or a soccer ball, something a little larger, and you're going to grab it with your chin. You get really good, you can use something about the size of a softball. So now the ball is going to be out at the end of your mat. And as you go to get it with your chin and roll it back to you, reach out with your chin and roll it back. This is our practice for Chaturanga Dandasana. So as I face you, what you'll see is as I go forward, my elbows will want to bow out. So we want to keep the elbows in, lead out with my chin, grab the ball, roll it back, and then go out and get it again with my chin. Let me show you. If you know this, just go ahead and participate. So there are my hands. I'm on the hands and knees. There's my ball. So I go and get the ball, and I pull it back. And I go and get the ball, and I drag it back. So again, watch the elbows, because as you go forward, they might tend to splay out. So keep hugging them in and practice. Mula bandha, mula bandha. And you can go to child's pose when you feel enough is enough. And you know who tells you that? You do. Your third eye chakra is your knower. So I'm going to have us do a little strengthening. Now that we've worked on the mobility of our shoulders, we're going to be on the hands. You can be on the forearms if your hands cannot manage this. And we're going to be lifting the hip, moving through the hip and lifting the leg, keeping it bent. So it's not a straight leg left behind, it's a bent knee. Think of your foot as making an imprint on your ceiling. So that's what you want to think of, and it looks like this, and we will do several on one leg and then switch to the other side. So as I come to my traditional all fours, and then lift up a foot, so the foot is pointing toward the ceiling and my hips are down, and then from there I will press my foot toward the ceiling, and then bring the knee toward my chest, and then press the foot toward the ceiling, and draw my knee toward the chest. Now, if you don't want to bear weight onto the hands, you can modify. The knee to the chest will be much smaller. So as I'm on my elbows, anchor shoulders, press the foot up, and then draw the knee in. I have to lift it across that floor in order to push back up. So it's not the straight leg and the bent knee. It's my hair doing something funny. It's up bent and in bent. So let's do a few of those, okay? So find your all fours. Tune into your breath. Let the breath feed your movement. Pick up a leg, whichever one you want, and then press it skyward, and then draw it towards your chest. And then push the foot slowly, mindfully up so you know where you're going. You're not going sideways. And then draw that knee forward. And then press the foot a few more times toward up. And draw that knee inward. I'm using the inhale as I push up. I'm using the exhale as I draw together. And I think one more will be good, so do one more. And then rest a minute to get off your hands. I'm just going to sit on my knees, but you don't have to sit on your knees. I just want you to get off your hands so you could do child's pose again. I'll spin around. How was your weekend? How about them Seahawks, right? Sorry if you're a 49er fan. All right, so let's go to the other side. I'm going to be on my forearms so that those of you who are choosing that option can see that my shoulders are not going to creep into my ears. So come to all fours. La Banda, anchor your shoulders. Go ahead, push that other leg up toward the sky. Bend the knee and draw it in. I'm not rushing through this. Using your breath. Let's do two more. This shouldn't be tremendously difficult. More mindful, I would say. Okay, moving to your last one, up and down. And then you'll release. We're going to sit facing each other. Ooh, Bandha Konasana, bottom of the feet together. Ooh, And we're just going to rock from side to side. So you're rocking over those glutes that you just activated. And then we'll use the hands to sit up tall. For many of you, sitting like this is a difficult thing to do. So if you sit on a pillow or a blanket or a towel, it won't be having you sit back here. It'll get you up on those sit bones. Where your feet are, not so important. Some people like them close. Some people take them further. So lift the chest nice and tall. Hinge through the pelvis. So you go as far as you can, and some will go further than others. Once forward, bow your head to look at your feet, or maybe to put your head on your feet, I don't know. It's a good time to tune into your breathing. Feel the spine stretch, feel the calm of your nervous system take in. Mindfully tighten your belly and roll your spine up so you're coming to sit nice and tall. Okay, a little bit of hip opening from a seated position. Again, sitting on an elevated prop would be helpful. Take the right foot forward, the left foot back a little. It's not going to be tucked under you. Put the right foot in front and slightly over there. So from the side, you see my feet are not crossed over one another, but my right foot is forward of my left foot. So if you're tight in the hips, you may look like this. Your knees might be up rather high. If you have more mobility in your hips, your knees may fall out further, and you can see the inside leg. It should be your left leg inside. And I know I'm right there at the bottom of your screen, but I was standing up there for a while. So use the hands behind to lift yourself up nice and tall. And maybe a side profile view might be helpful for some of you. So I am going for the hip in front. It would be probably your right foot. So whatever leg is in front, you're going to lift up your chest. For some people coming up like this, the hip may already speak to you. Then as I bring my chest forward, just like we did a moment ago, hinging forward, I may be able to access my right hip there. Some of you may need to bring the hands forward, not rounding, but leading that heart forward. Sense the theme, lead with the heart. And lengthen yourself forward, and that leg in front should then maybe speak to you. So some will get it more glute, some more hip. So wherever you are, take a few breaths. Now wait, there's more. So you want to move so your face is looking at your right foot. So walk your hands, if they're in front of you, beyond the right foot. If your hands were behind you, simply turn your body. So instead of going forward, you're now going in the direction of the right foot. And as you move in that direction, lengthen yourself out on that diagonal. That should be really yummy on your hip. Bow your head and breathe. Walk your hands back center and all the way up. And then we're going to swap the legs. So there's more than just the pigeon pose. There's a variety of ways to access your hips. I always try and expose you to different ones. So now my right leg is in, but not in too far. My left leg is out. My knees might look like this, or they might lay down. Hands behind, sit up nice and tall. Lean the chest forward. So for some, the hips on one side are a whole lot tighter. I don't know why. We have habits in our body. So yoga brings awareness to where we might be a little more needy. So we can address that. So you want the arms to go forward, wherever forward is available for you, and bow your head. And now from wherever you are, walk to your right so that you're coming in the direction of the left leg. So if your hands were behind you, you now turn off toward the right and maybe lean a little further forward. You want to work until you feel it. And I'm not there to hear you tell me, I don't feel it, I do feel it. So you just have to keep sorting it out using some of the suggestions. So the lifting up is 1, the hinging forward is 2, and then reaching on the diagonal is 3. None of this should be done very quickly at all. Remember to slow your breath. When you're kind of tucked in, you can hear that breath and you can monitor its pace. Go ahead, mindfully bring yourself back up. Mindfully means Mula Bandhu Dhyana action. Open your legs far, far away. In the land, far, far away. Okay, so don't worry how far out your legs go, but you want your toes back and you want your knees straight. Again, sitting on an object will make this easier for some of you. Begin by bringing the hands behind you and lifting up your chest. We are working for the adductors. You know, this is one of my favorite spaces to open, from the knee to the pelvis. So this affects the mobility of your hip. So as I lift my chest and begin to hinge or lean forward, so don't let the knees bend. I don't know how people do it, but some people's toes roll in because I know how they're made differently. If your hands you aren't using anything to push yourself forward, bring the hands forward, and you still want to hinge. So don't let yourself round. As soon as you round, you'll lose that good opening in the inner thigh. Oh. And breathe. So we have covered most of the hip joint with the hamstring, the adductors, the abductors. If we have time, I'll get you a little bit of quad stretching. But I would say our crescent pose might have helped a little bit there. Slow your breath. Mindfully bring yourself back up. Now be sweet to those inner thighs and put the hands behind and lift them up ever so gently, and then bring your feet in. Okay, so we'll do a little bit for the abdominals. We're going to sit at the short end of our mat in case, well, eventually we're going to lay down for Shavasana. So this one is, so do you remember that TV show, I Dream of Jeannie? This is I Dream of Jeannie, where she did this. So the hands will be thus. The knees can be up, knees bent, or some people like their legs straight. So I'm okay with either. So straight or bent. And what will happen is you'll do the little I Dream of Jeannie and lift nice and tall. So this one kind of gets a variety of abdominals and the core. On the inhale, you'll turn to one side of the long end of the mat. Doesn't matter which one because you're going to switch. That shoulder is going to move down toward the edge of the mat. It won't get anywhere close, but you're going to lean back looking so your arms are tipped up. Then when you return, lift back up, still twisted, and then come back to your start. Then you do the other side. Let me get a little angled here. And so you stay nice and tall. You twist to the other side, drop the shoulder toward the long end of the mat and look down. Inhale, raise back up, and then turn back center so you're back to the beginning. So we go a little this way, a little that way. Maybe I'll try facing you. You don't have to go the same way as me. We're just going to do one side and the other. So sit nice and tall. Anchor your shoulders. Mula Bandhu Uddiyana action. Inhale, rotate one side. Exhale, drop, look. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, return center. Inhale, lift, twist. Exhale, drop lower. Inhale, lift tall. Exhale, return center. Repeat. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, drop. Inhale, lift. Exhale, center, continue. Inhale, turn. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, last time, both sides. Inhale, drop, exhale. Lift, inhale. Return back center. Last one. Inhale, lower, exhale. Lift, inhale, and return center. So let's do a little bit for the hips real quick so we can get to Shavasana, because if you were sitting with your knees bent, these guys might be talking to you. Lay down on one side, doesn't matter which side. Be on an elbow, bend your knees forward. Most of you are going to be able to get here just fine, but if you need a strap or a towel or a tie, put it around the top ankle. So I'm going to take my hand down my leg, down my shin, and hold my ankle. If you can't quite get the ankle, you got a pair of pants on, even if they're your jammies. I know some of you are in your jammies, because when I take classes, I'm in my jammies. You should see me doing boot camp in my jammies. Now I'm going to take that foot that I'm holding on to, and remember how we push the foot toward the ceiling? I'm going to push the foot back, and while holding the ankle, let the weight of the leg relax into that hand. Open the chest, keep pulling the leg back. There you go. It should be a nice opening. If you're very tight, your knee is up here, drop it down. If you were to let go of your leg, it would fall to the floor, but don't let go of it, just saying. Lift your chest, draw the leg back, heel coming towards your bum as you're available. Slowly release and go over to the other side. Remember, when you're on your elbow, you don't want to sink into your shoulders, so be mindful to all that as well. Knees bent, lift the top leg, go down and get your ankle or whatever you can get, and then move that foot back, push the foot back, 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 back. Feel the heaviness of the leg in your hand. Lift your chest. Draw into your breath. So I think one of the hardest poses in yoga is Shavasana. To lay quietly and not let your mind get busy. So that is what we are going to do next. Go ahead, bring your leg back, and then situate yourself for Shavasana. Some of you may need a blanket or a towel over you because your body temperature might be dropping. It doesn't feel very comfortable to lay still and be cold. I've done that. It's not very comfortable. So if you have covers, you can put covers on, something under the knees. So this is the classic Shavasana, corpse pose. It's not good for everybody, so if you need to bend the knees and let them just fall together, even if you want to just lay on your side, even if you want to lay on your belly. So this is where you give up your body onto Mother Earth. You can remove eyewear, ponytails. So this is where you do nothing, and you just, maybe you're going to hang out with your breath so that the monkey mind doesn't start. Or maybe you take yourself into nature somewhere and just walk around in the forest or out in the desert. So find yourself coming to a nice quiet place. I'll ring my singing bowl and we'll have our saying. Let this time be yours. And so deepen the breath. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Hopefully you got a taste of a little bit of calm there, and you can stay right there or you can roll to your side. And I have thoughts for us today. This was said by Calvin Coolidge. No person was ever honored for what he received. Honor has been the reward for what he gave. We're impressed by people who manage to give of themselves, even though they seem just as busy and overwhelmed as we are. Their willingness to help others, to exert themselves, to make the world a better place, shows us what individuals can do against considerable odds. Thought then for us today: when I have opportunities to give, I'll take advantage of them. I will never regret having given of myself. So with that said, go ahead and move yourself to a seated position. Be aware of the breath. Be aware of the gifts that you've given yourself from your practice, the stretching, the strengthening, the balance. The arms open by the side. Fill yourself with all those gifts. Join the palms together, placing them at the heart. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. And I thank you for joining us today. Glad you could come. And I look forward to seeing you again sometime. And it was nice to see so many new faces today. Glad you made it, Phil and Prudy and everybody else. Have a lovely day.